Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye has friends. No, really, Jeff has friends. Jeff's friends are on this podcast. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship.
Friendship.
Welcome back to the Jeff Dye Friendship Podcast. This episode is numbered 6, and the guest is Andrew Sleighter, a man I've known since the first day I started stand-up comedy, and now we live in Los Angeles. We went from Seattle to Los Angeles, not at the same time, and we didn't come together, and we didn't even live near each other, but we did this journey on different times with, not together, but together. I'm very excited to have him on the podcast, one of my dearest friends in this business. And we've grown a lot, and we've got a lot of inside stories and a lot of fun things to share that I know you guys are going to enjoy. Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to comment and rate. Also, if you want to watch this podcast, or maybe you already are, go to Patreon and subscribe, www.patreon.com/Jeff Dye to subscribe and watch the podcast. Also get free tickets to comedy shows, meet and greets, surprises in the mail, discounts on merch, free albums, stuff like that. Or you can just listen for free on iTunes. But either way, rate, subscribe, and comment. Andrew Sleighter also, he's going to be telling you all about it on this pod, but he has a CD that just came out, an album, not a CD, but like an album you can download called The Great Baxby is the name of the CD. It's very, very funny. It's been out because we recorded this a little bit before this, while you're hearing it. So it's been out for a couple weeks, and it is so funny and so good. I know you're gonna love it, but I don't get to gush about Andrew much to the public, and so I will take this time to let you know that this is one of the most sincere and one of the most great, but also just genuinely funny people I've ever known in my life. I knew him when he was a single, ornery weirdo writing for the paper, and now as a married conservative, well, not conservative, but like a responsible, that's what I meant, successful television comedian, and you're going to love him. I've enjoyed the journey. Take a little listen. Go now. Like, start listening or watching now. Here we are. Jeff Dye's friendship. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. Yeah. Hey, how about that catch? How about that jingle that you guys just listened to? Our first criticism of the podcast from one of my best friends, Justin Bailoff. He goes, "Jingle's a little long." But I think that's what makes it so great is it does the whole thing, then it goes into a different part, then it goes back to the first thing. I enjoy that it's so long.
But he said like 2 seconds too long, which,
yeah, well, I think he saw my face of heartbreak and he's like, "Oh, just kidding, Jeff."
Let me reel this back in.
Yeah, it was one of those. Very excited about this podcast and very excited about our guest today. But first, on the ones and the twos, Tony Reavis.
What?
You having a grumpy day, ain't you,
I'm
bud?
having a grumpy day, but it's going to get better because we're doing the podcast.
I know. You have cheered up a little since we've turned on that red light. You got this big smile on your face.
I'm a performer. I know how to turn it on, baby.
Let's just pretend you're always performing then, because I love this, Tony.
Yeah, let's not stop the podcast ever and just record for the next
I'm happy you're here.
18 years.
I'm glad to be here.
This is the first time I've ever seen you without a hat in person.
I don't
That's
like
not
it.
true.
I ridicule you when you're not wearing a hat on the internet.
And I'm going to start wearing no hats.
I like when you wear a hat.
I know you do.
That's how I like my Reavis. All right, well, thanks for being here, buddy.
Of course.
Also, the Cal Ripken of the podcast, Aaron Michael Marsh is in the
back.
house.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Heel Marsh. He'll say what no one should. That's the thing.
Yeah, only because people shouldn't say it.
We should also recap. Got a lot of comments about you.
Oh, no.
And people were like, What was that thing Aaron said? Like, if you've been married long enough, you're allowed to pull their shirt over the head and punch them like
The second
hockey?
marriage, yeah. It's the second
Oh,
marriage.
the second marriage.
right.
Yeah, I said that the second marriage rules are the same as hockey fighting rules.
Yeah. But a lot of people noticed that. And there was something else you did. Anyways, I like that you're the heel Marsh.
I love it.
And
if you
don't know what
guys
heel
got a
means.
problem with it, you can find me on Twitter and you can send me evil tweets and I'll just
Do it.
block you because I like doing
Yeah,
that.
he will do that.
I love it. Sometimes Aaron will just find a guy in wrestling. There'll be like a new wrestler. He'll just go, I'm going to go block this guy. The guy doesn't know who he is. The guy doesn't have any interest in maybe following Aaron, and Aaron will still just find him to block him.
Well,
I went to a dinner party once and there was a girl that I didn't like the way she talked. And so I just blocked her under the table. I'm like, what's your name, sweetie? You know, I'm sorry. I
What's
interrupted
your
you.
name, sweetie? What a swerve.
Yeah.
Does Twitter doesn't alert you when someone blocks you, though, right?
No.
That's just a
Never.
I wish it
I wish
would.
they would. Yeah, I wish
Yeah,
they would.
Totally, they should do that.
Yeah, I think that's great. You're out of nowhere. You're like, why Dan Patrick blocked me?
It'd be
for
the
like no
most
reason.
infuriating thing in the world, and then there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go attack
Well, and also
them.
some people would just get tons of notifications.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. It would curb people's personalities maybe after a while if you're like, man, I
true.
get blocked a
Owen
lot.
Why would that
Benjamin.
be if you're like,
Owen
I didn't like
Benjamin.
Quiet Place. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Bloop. You know?
Yeah, it's like, oh my god.
Like Owen Benjamin, just 300 blocks today. Like, he's like, I didn't even do anything today. They're
That'd
just
be a
like,
slow
sorry.
day
man.
for Owen Benjamin.
And now our featured guest. I am so excited to have you because you're one of my oldest comedy friends and just a guy who I often reference daily when some subject arises and I go, oh, Andrew Sleighter's got a great bit about this. Or, oh, Andrew Sleighter's my funniest friend. Or, oh, hey, you should have Andrew Sleighter write for this. I say your name a lot and I respect you on a very, very high comedic level. And I just think you're a great dude. Andrew Sleighter, everyone.
oh my god.
You got his name right.
Yeah, I got everyone's right today.
What
Yeah.
an intro.
Well, it's true. I
That's a
love
lot
you.
to live up to. Well, I love you too, buddy.
And this
Thanks
is the
for
point of the
having me.
podcast, friendship podcast. You're my friend. So
Yeah.
you
I
made,
hear about you almost every day and I hang out with you once a year.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to keep it.
Earlier
I'm like
today,
a recluse.
I said he referenced Lincoln because he goes to Disney a lot, and there's like the robot Lincoln.
Uh-huh.
So Aaron's like doing a whole thing about it. It was very funny. And I go, oh, Andrew Sleighter's got this great bit about it. And then Aaron goes, yeah, I've heard it. You've told, like, because I've told him, I've told your bit of that so many times that he's like, yes, you keep repeating the same Andrew Slater story.
He's sick of the Andrew Slater Lincoln.
The Lincoln Robot actually does your bit in Disney.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that would be. I am owed some money. I feel like they should be paying me for that.
Oh yeah, well, if you saw the amount of people that would witness this bit as well, they don't owe you anything.
Oh.
Yeah,
There's
nobody
never more
goes-
than 6 people.
Do you go into the Lincoln, the presidential
When it's
historian?
hot and I need some air conditioning, yes, I will.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
think I'm above air conditioning?
Also, Aaron loves Disney so much that there isn't a corner of that dump he hasn't
oh,
discovered.
that's true. Yeah, I go there a lot.
I can't believe Disney's bought like Marvel, and then they've bought I don't know what Star Wars.
Mhm.
They own like everything
They're trying to get
popular
Fox.
now.
Yeah.
They're trying to get Fox, right?
They bought my name.
But they still have room. There's only so much real estate in Anaheim that they own. They've got to like demolish
Branch
things
out.
when they want to build something, but they don't bulldoze the Hall of Presidents. It's hilarious.
Well, they will eventually.
It should just be like Iron Man giving
They'll
you
get rid
speeches
of
up
it.
there.
That would be awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
well, so
Where Iron Man
Aaron would be the
stand-ups
good
and
one
he
to go
just
to this.
gets the-
How many places in Disneyland have just been redone?
Almost all of it.
Yes, a lot. Like
It's actually really
Adventureland or
fascinating
whatever.
to be like, what is there from opening day?
They replaced the Peter Pan pirate ship in the final show, which is like a classic with Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
What about Mr. Toad's Wild Ride? Is that still there?
It's still here in Anaheim. It's gone
Shockingly.
in Florida.
And it's
Wow.
still just batshit crazy.
Yeah, it was
Like
scary.
it's
it
like
was
an acid
legit
trip.
scary.
Well,
I
if you
remember
see
that being
the movie.
scary.
It's the story of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you go to hell in the ride.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it's
yeah,
a
you
movie
are
about drunk driving
and
yeah,
die.
Yeah.
Hell is real. Is
Yeah.
the message of Mr. Toad's Wild
It's like,
Ride.
wow, I'm 6.
But
This
you
is
can
a
come
little
back
heavy.
from it. You can in
You do
Mr.
come
Toad's
back.
Wild Ride. You can come back from hell.
Yeah.
So Hitler has a chance. Hitler can
Yes,
reform and come
which
back.
does suggest that you're rooting for Hitler a little bit. You're like,
No.
oh, Hitler has hope.
I want it
Out of
on
all
the
the
record.
people in hell, that's the one you want to bring back?
And the
You could have said all
I
the
was
names.
just saying the one guy who's burning the hottest in hell. But I want it on the record here today. I am no fan of Hitler.
You don't want to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
It's a
yeah,
good
you don't
call.
want to ever. Like Chris Kowalski did that. He's on the podcast for maybe 15 seconds. Maybe the first podcast anyone's asked Chris Kowalski to do. And he just starts throwing.
Oh, why you're going to hell for that?
He's not a
Chris Kowalski
comedian or
shade.
anything. He's not like,
Okay.
he's not on television.
But he's a friend.
He is, and that's why he was here. But here's the thing. He waited like 10 seconds before he started throwing the word rape around frivolously. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, can we pause?
No.
You can't just say rape like that.
At least it wasn't in a
That's-
sexual context, though.
Yeah, but yeah, it's
Still
rape,
doesn't make it fair play.
rape culture, you know? They
Yeah.
want you to say the word like that.
Triggered.
No.
And Andrew saying Hitler has hope.
Well, you have to get to the highest level of the Patreon before you discover my true feelings. about it.
Yeah. If you subscribe to Andrew's
Hitler.
Patreon at the highest level,
You have to pay $1,000 a minute.
it's like Scientology. You have to be really
Yes.
in before they tell you the crazy stuff.
Did you know what? I live right by the Scientology headquarters, the purple building. If anybody knows East LA, you ever drive
Don't
by
get
that
too
on
specific. They'll
Sunset?
cancel us.
Oh,
No, he's kidding.
Scientology. can't.
Andrew took that like you meant, like
Dude,
you,
they're
like
exactly-
Aaron knew anything.
He was like, "Oh yeah." Ooh.
So when I walk to my bank and stuff, I walk right by, and they have like the barkers out there, the
Oh, yeah,
guys
yeah.
with the pamphlets and everything.
lowest level, by the way.
But they, yes, really. I've noticed that since they've launched their own streaming TV network, Scientology
God.
TV. I've noticed they've got.
How do we get that? What's that network cost?
I don't know, but they
all of them.
the Barkers have gotten a little lazy.
Oh,
they're not
interesting.
as, usually it's like, hey, how's it going? Hey, oh, cool hat. Oh, nice shirt. Let me show you about
Yeah.
this. Now they're just kind of like, check out. It's like they've made it too far to bug me.
They're jaded.
Yeah. I don't know. They need to get humbled again.
I
feel
love
like.
that. You know, it's a funny job like that, and I think they're called barkers. That's a very comedy term. I don't know if people are going to know
Oh,
that
yeah.
term, but the people that do the signs, you know, with the
Oh,
big
sign
arrow and
spinners.
stuff like that. Yeah,
Little
so
girls.
the sign spinners. I found that they just can't win
They're
with
spinners.
me.
Sorry, you go ahead, Jeff.
They just can't like win with me. If they do it like this and they're like barely going left to right, I'm annoyed. I'm like,
Mhm.
come on, let's try a little. But if they're flipping it around and doing handstands, I'm like, oh, take it easy. Like, there's no appropriate amount of sign spinning that I'm comfortable with.
And where do you
know,
go?
Did you know there's a sign spinning competition like in
What?
Vegas, like for the best sign spinners in the
Pays
country?
$9 an hour.
Can we go to that?
Yeah, we got to get tickets.
I'm assuming that you can go.
I feel like
Yeah, a lot of available
Yeah.
seats.
Yeah.
Also, you brought up Chris Kowalski. Chris
Yeah.
Kowalski made a movie
Right, I remember.
about sign spinning.
Yeah, I was in it.
I was in it too.
Yeah.
And we had to improv our characters because he did not write the movie.
He did not write anything.
He came up with a loose idea, then everyone
free-
just
In
kind of
fact,
made
he
up.
changed the ending just because I happened to have a chicken costume. On the off chance that I was like, I don't know, I have some costumes. He's like, oh, it changed the whole ending of
Pretty
the
sure
movie.
that's how Scorsese did Casino. It just happened to be in Vegas.
Joe
that
Pesci's like, I
weekend.
have a pair of white underwear and blood,
Yeah.
and he's like, we're changing the
You know
ending.
what? That's a good ending.
Yeah, that's way
We're
better.
switching it.
My uncle has a cornfield we can use. Maybe we should use it.
That's show business, baby.
What is the worst event that you would like to attend? You know, like sign spinning, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I know that there's darts is like a thing that
I
Howie
would love
Mandel was
that.
talking about. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
But like I think the worst that I'd want to attend still is the Crips or whatever spelling bee.
Not the
Yeah.
Crips spelling.
The
bee.
different one.
Yeah, no, I was
Actually,
gonna say.
why have they not done
No,
that?
actually, shut the fuck up. I go to the
Hey.
blood spelling bee. So we have a real beef right now. If you subscribe to the highest level of the Patreon, you'll get
Yeah.
to see me pop a cap in Jeff's ass. After
Oh
the show.
no!
Oh, my
Don't
Lord.
subscribe to his Patreon.
Yeah.
That's actually a great sketch. The Crips spelling bee.
Dude, look at us.
Yeah, that would be
On
hilarious.
Saturday Night Live.
Scientific. Yo, use that shit in a sentence. Scientific.
Oh, yo, that shit was
explanation.
scientific.
He's like,
All
S.
right.
Shit, I don't know.
Adjective.
They don't use any
I-
bees.
It would be weird to go to the spelling bee though, because I assume it's mostly parents.
Mm-hmm.
And
We just lie.
so you say you have a kid.
That's mine right there.
Yeah.
Which one? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. But
I'm not
you
proud of
gotta
him.
think everyone there is rooting against the person up there.
Yeah.
Except for one parent at a time, right?
Yes.
So like most of the energy in the room is like fuck up, fuck up, fuck up,
Yeah.
fuck up,
Dude,
fuck up.
let's heckle it.
Do you think there's much security at the
No.
No. No.
I guarantee it's a
There's
lot
a lot
of
of security
warnings.
at the Crips spelling bee, but not a lot of security
Yeah,
at
exactly.
the Scripps spelling bee.
A lot of warnings at the script spelling bee.
Yeah.
Imagine it's just like, we've told you to be
a
quiet.
lot of
You're like, "Sorry."
stern glances.
Yeah, that's all
A
it
lot
is.
of frowning.
I can't even believe that it's on ESPN.
Oh, it's great.
Like, that's unbelievable. to
Is it
me.
in the same place every year?
I don't know.
I think they
New
put it on
Orleans
ESPN.
every year. It's
I
at
think it is in the same
Superdome.
place every year.
Harris.
It is in the same place every year, I think. But I do also believe, this is my theory, conspiracy theory, Jeff. I bet they had to put it on ESPN just to get kids to care about spelling anymore. Like that's some incentive for them. Like, oh, I could be on TV.
Have you ever watched it though on TV?
I've seen all the highlights, like when they recap it on SportsCenter,
Yeah.
and I've seen that documentary called Spellbound. So I feel like I know a lot about it, but I've not once ever really watched it.
It's pretty compelling. It's like
Really?
sucks you in. You know, like in the Olympics where you watch sports
see
you
that
would never
coming.
watch
Yeah.
ever, like curling. Because when you were saying what would you want to go see that you wouldn't actually want to,
Right. What's
How do you-
the worst that you wouldn't want to see?
curling
that you would
came to
wanna
mind because I don't know anything about curling or anything. But when you watch and then there's stakes, all of a sudden you're like, can't
real.
believe how wrapped up.
Oh,
I
I
was
got
in-
wrapped up in it this year.
Yeah, I was in New York with my brother. We stayed up to like on the East Coast. It was like so late. Stayed up to like 5 a.m. to watch the US beat
That's
Canada.
hilarious. It's curling.
Yeah, curling.
It's
and he
intense.
was looking at me like, "Are you insane? I have to go to bed." I was like,
Yeah.
"I don't have to go to bed. I'm gonna watch. We're staying up."
That's great.
But yeah, so I think for some reason, anytime you give something stakes, it could be anything.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, like I was used to think it was silly that they put poker on television because the sport requires you to make zero facial expressions.
Right.
Like you're
Yeah, yeah.
encouraged to not be excited or angry or any, like the whole time you're just supposed to keep that poker face. And they're like, yeah, let's put this on TV. You're like, but why would anyone want to watch that? And people do. For some reason, people watch it. But I think that's the worst event that I wouldn't want to go to.
But you know how there's like a poker boom? Like, because
Mhm.
clearly now, it's
Is the
you
poker
remember
boom
how
over
it
now?
was? Yeah, it's for sure over.
Yeah.
Because you remember how it was where like you can go 2 seconds and there's like 10 poker players who are like household names.
Right,
It's
right.
insane, right? It's not like that anymore. But it almost is like, it's funny to me imagine like, you know, in comedy there was a boom, like in the 80s and shit.
yeah, yeah.
It's funny to imagine like some post-boom poker players talking to like young poker players again. Oh, you don't know how it was.
I used to make.
I could get 30 grand a night just sitting at a table.
I guarantee you that's happening.
Yeah.
Because those poker players were not nearly as cool as our comedic heroes.
There's nothing worse than hanging out with a like. I like to talk to older comics.
Me too.
You know, and it's interesting to hear their perspective and stuff. But there's nothing worse than when they start bitching about the old days because they're like, "Oh, we would get this," and they'd fly.
You also
me
got to
down.
weed out the lies on a lot of that.
Yeah, but it was for sure better in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, I
Or
think
easier.
I think I would have.
Easier, better.
The
word?
money was the same, but interest happened with
No,
the
the
rest
money
of the
was
world.
better. For sure better. It was better for like Comic X doesn't have a draw.
Which is why I
Yeah.
don't think I would have liked it. If you see some of those comedians that were like working comedians back
Yeah.
then, it's awful. They were just awful.
Well, yeah. Especially like now it doesn't hold up, you know. But
And
It's
so I'd
just
be more
hilarious to me.
annoyed. Like I always feel bad when there's, or not bad, but I get like a little agitated when I see someone who's really bad, who's, getting something.
yeah.
That must have happened every 3 minutes during the comedy boom. You're like, he got that, she got that, he got past, Mitzi passed him. Like it was just like,
and there just weren't that many comedians. There wasn't enough people to fill the void, and people
Yeah,
wanted.
that
it
must have been
so much.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
We
all the
missed
wrong
it.
reasons. Exciting to be the guy taking the check, but not the person in the audience.
yeah,
Yeah, but they loved it.
they seemed to laugh at
They were
everything
like
because it
selling
was the
out every
boom.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of drugs back then, though.
Maybe it
we
was all
would have
the-
had to do some drugs if we were going to go in that boom.
Maybe it was all the.
Yeah, have you
cocaine.
ever seen cocaine in a comedy club? I hear
have
about it in
not.
the 80s a ton. I've never seen it.
I've been to clubs that were built on cocaine and stuff like that, but they don't have. I've never witnessed it
Like
anymore.
literally, if you scratch the bricks, like it's made. They're made.
Built.
Yeah.
Cocaine.
Built on.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Florida.
No, well, that's what they used to say. Like at the Seattle Underground, they would pay you half in cocaine and half in cash, and they would ask you, and then they
Yeah, I heard
some
that.
guys would like trade in their cash and just blow the whole because they would like they would pay for the travel out there, hotel. So they might be making so much money on the road. Like every fourth weekend, they just take the whole check in cocaine.
Because they
and
would
blow
say,
it
yeah,
all
you want
that night.
cocaine, cash, or half cocaine, half cash.
Yeah.
I've read that in a book
That's
somewhere.
nuts.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Tony
I-
Reavis you might not know. Never done no drugs.
No.
What are some other things you never done? We're keeping a record, but I keep forgetting.
Graffiti.
I've never done that.
He's never slam dunked.
Such a very.
Never slam
I've
dunk?
slam dunked, not on a 10-foot, but
Attaboy.
I'm like
What were the other
like
nevers?
eight-
Remember, there was a
8 foot.
bunch.
I don't know. I never drank. I've never
Never drank? That's the big
Never
one.
stolen.
drank.
Never
Never stole anything?
Ooh.
I don't know.
That's a hot button issue on.
I never
I don't have
gotten
an
a
issue
ti-
with
never
that.
gotten a ticket.
How did you become so morally stout?
It's just not a thing for me. You know,
I
like
think it
it's
was
gotten to a
young
point-
love. That's what I
Upbringing? Good upbringing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
great
great
upbringing.
parents.
I think
Shout
his
out.
body doesn't
Yeah.
make adrenaline, and so he has no feeling to try to get it.
No, yeah, we kind of talked about it before.
Great theory.
Like in high school, like I didn't have an interest in drinking or whatever because like, why do you drink in high school? Because like everyone's doing it, and you're trying to
Right.
kind of fit in. I really didn't give a shit about anybody.
But he had a girlfriend that
yeah,
he was in
I,
love
I,
with.
I had a girlfriend at the time, so like I didn't have to impress
So you
nobody.
didn't have to,
He wasn't trying to win
yeah.
over these girls by like doing rebellion or, kind of
Slam
that kind of
dunking.
stuff.
I could just do me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
Young love.
sure.
Yeah,
I
we
don't know,
could
there's
still.
something in there we're gonna find.
The problem
People,
is he's
you're
gonna
too
get
clean.
something in
There's
like 2
something-
years. He's gonna learn that he loves gambling or something, and
I
we're
do.
gonna watch
I
his
already know
life.
that. I love to gamble. But
Oh, there it is.
He did on Super
Nice.
Nintendo.
yeah,
He does it on Super Nintendo on a
No,
game.
what do you bet? Really?
I love to play blackjack. I
Oh,
love.
see, here it comes.
You go to the casinos though.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Where
every
it's
time I go-
nice
every
and
time I go home.
legal.
We should get some white suits.
You
I wanna
found
go to
him
the
out.
casino
Andrew
again.
Sleighter, episode 1, figures
Yeah.
him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go often because I don't have money. But
Right.
like when I turn 21,
It's because you're playing wrong.
yeah, when I turn 21,
Yeah, you're not
I
good
don't
at
drink
it.
or anything. So
Don't
it's
you
like,
have
well,
a system?
what was exciting about turning 21? I was like, well, I went to the casino.
That's never
Yeah.
stopped any gambling addict I've ever met. They're like,
Not
no,
being
no.
21.
No,
What, were
not
you-
having money. They find a
fine.
way.
Well, I'm not an
money.
addict.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the good news.
That is the good news. Another never.
Yeah.
You've never been an addict.
I've never been an addict.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll get you. I actually wanted to do a field trip for this podcast where we go do ayahuasca. And we just go in this house and we do it, and then we talk about it afterwards, how it was, and all
Glad
that.
it's not this episode.
Well, you can.
You know
you're
what?
welcome.
I'm
Come with us.
fascinated by some of those hallucinogenic
Yeah.
experiences.
Have
Chris
you ever done
Porter
any?
told us you go in
More
this house.
mushrooms than the, but the ayahuasca thing, I don't like the idea because they all vomit.
Yes.
I don't want to vomit.
Well, you'll drink a bunch. You risk vomiting. You don't all vomit.
No, you vomit. The
Not all of
first
them.
time,
Oh, maybe.
I think you. For
that's
sure.
panic. That's
You think
fear.
that stopped me from doing anything my whole life?
Yeah, look at Aaron.
That's
Yeah.
the only thing that
I'm gonna
drives.
vomit right now.
Please
This
don't.
podcast is going to make him vomit.
The only thing that drives every decision I make is
Do I have to puke?
will I have to vomit?
They do
That's
roller
why I
coasters.
stopped drinking. I would just keep drinking and get super drunk, but no, I don't want to vomit. It's horrible.
Well, here's the thing about the thing. Chris made it sound fun. You go to this house, you meet a guy who's kind of shifty. He gives you the stuff. You do the stuff. You trip out. You freak out. You do whatever. Then a guy drives you back to your hotel once it's
While
over.
you feel great. He did mention
Well,
how great
that
it
must
feels.
be the concierge version. I don't think everybody gets the service where
if
they
you're a
get driven
comic
back.
at this town, that's how they treat you.
That's not how.
And it's not like a
He'll get driven
5.
back, and we'll be puking our guts out. And
Yeah, we're
waiting
gonna
for
be
an Uber pool.
like puking in the back seat.
Nah, man. I would look out for you guys. You could ride with me. I might puke a lot still.
I'd just be there filming the whole thing.
Yeah, you would have to do the
Sober.
ayahuasca.
You have to do the
Sober,
ayahuasca.
I'd want
You
you to
wouldn't
film
do that?
while what is it? What? Why do you? Because
What
you're,
drug can we
you're a
get you
man
to
of
do?
God. Is that why
Yeah.
you don't want to do the drugs?
No.
So
I
then
just
what is
don't
it?
want to do drugs.
Don't you want to try some stuff?
No.
I don't accept that as an
Not
answer.
at
Yeah,
all.
that's not. You just don't want to.
Not
I think
at
it's
all.
fear. I think you got some
Well,
fear. in
I
you.
was just gonna
Sure.
say that about drinking to you. I was like, aren't you curious?
I'm
Just
not. That's
what
the thing.
like.
It's like it's been so long. It's like I don't have any desire.
And I understand that because like I've smoked weed and stuff, but there's a lot of drugs I haven't done. And someone would very well say to me, aren't you curious about what ayahuasca or mushrooms or acid or whatever is like? And I I guess I'm just not curious enough because I don't.
Well, here's the
ever
thing.
Try it.
I know.
You've never done mushrooms?
You know why I've never done
No,
cocaine?
I kind of want to do mushrooms.
They're great. You're low.
Yeah. He's like a mushrooms.
He went.
Yeah, I know. What
was
do they
so
call-
proud
like
of
a
himself.
rep?
Yeah.
You're like a mushrooms rep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the bars,
It's a
you have like
booster.
a
Yeah.
mushroom shirt on. and-
Influencer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
mushrooms
so,
influence.
You know why I didn't why I don't want to do cocaine and I never will? Because I know myself well enough that I'll just really like it. So I have a healthy amount of fear about cocaine, and that's why I will never do cocaine. Because I just know it's gonna feel great.
Mhm.
I'm gonna enjoy that. I'm gonna chase that, and then I'm gonna go broke just buying cocaine all the time. Whereas with alcohol, like I'm not afraid that I'm gonna like be so obsessed with alcohol that it's gonna like ruin my life.
You know, it's funny because I've never done cocaine and I've never done like heroin, right?
Right.
Pussy.
But I'm just bragging. No, but if you watch movies, cocaine looks awful. It's always portrayed.
I've
As-
never enjoyed cocaine.
It looks horrible in movies. They're always like super sweaty, and then
Yeah.
they start bleeding from
Paranoid.
various places, and they're annoying to all their friends, and it ruins their life. Right? Cocaine
Sure.
always looks so bad in the movies. Now heroin also looks bad in the movies eventually. But the first time they take heroin, it's portrayed as like this very serene sort of
Yeah.
like,
Got a
and it's like
microdose.
this pleasure thing, and it's like heroin. I can kind of see.
Yeah, that's insane. I've never heard
Liking.
anyone say what you just
But,
said.
well, I'm sure it's pleasure. I mean, it's not good. You shouldn't do it because you'll die. It's horrible. But I could see. It's like here's the thing about the Holocaust. No, no, but I could see how you would enjoy the experience of taking heroin.
Sure.
Any heroin former user would probably say that it's like feels great. Cocaine, I don't understand at all.
Right.
It's just you stay up later. It sounds horrible.
Yeah, it sounds
I
awful.
going to bed like at 9
Well,
o'clock.
the idea is you get more done, you know?
yeah,
You don't get any more done.
yeah. You're just kind of like chasing.
Yeah,
your
it gives
tail,
you
right?
all the energy to find more cocaine is what it does.
Ah,
Because you start to
interesting.
feel shitty after like 10, 20 minutes. There's a gross drip in the back of your throat that tastes bad, and you're just trying to get rid of that.
Yeah,
It
see what I
does.
mean?
And then you're just like, oh no, I'm coming down, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to give you more drugs so you don't feel that, and you're like, when do I come down?
But that experience right there made Pablo Escobar a billionaire.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what
That's
I'm
true.
saying? So it's amazing how addictive that is.
When also, this is a bit of a reach, and if anyone's listening that's offended by this, I apologize. I think also my life has always been exciting enough that I didn't feel the need. Now, let's say I live in butthole, North Dakota.
We can say
and there's
Tucson,
not a
Arizona.
lot going on.
See, here
and
comes
then
the
you
butthole
start to go
slander.
man, maybe this is boring. You know, I
The
got
most
my
exciting part of the butt.
And that's a part of it for me too. Jeez.
And the most exciting part of North Dakota.
That's a
yeah,
part. That's been
I
a
think
part
you
of
guys
it.
missed the point. I was
Oh,
saying like
no,
you lived in a real
I-
crap
No,
town.
I get it. I get it. And that's been a part of me too for like why I don't drink or anything. Like I go to a party and everyone's drinking and I'm having just as much fun
Yeah, it's fun.
as everyone else. So I don't need, I don't need it. And that's just what my life has become.
but that gambling.
But
Yeah, but he's
so
always
yeah,
out
like,
there.
that's what makes my neck
Calling
itch.
you right
that
now.
old black Jack.
You're like, hey, you
Hi,
want to
gal.
bet on whether or if I ever drink or not?
What
I'll
if
take
I
that bet.
paid for
I'll
your
take that bet.
blackjack only if you were super high?
No.
Okay.
What's it from? Where he's like, I bet I can get you gambling by the end of the night. He's like, oh, Dumb and Dumber.
Uh,
I bet you can't. All right, $100 says I can get you betting by the end of the night. I'm the worst at gambling. I don't enjoy it. I don't ever win. When I do, it's not enough. It doesn't give me like a rush or anything. I just think of all the money I've put into.
Yeah. Well, I only like to play games where I feel at least like I'm in control of my destiny. Like I don't like sitting at a slot machine and letting a computer do it because I feel like I'm getting screwed over.
You are.
Right. So like when I'm playing blackjack, at least I can be like, hit. And then it's like, that was my fault or not,
It was your choice.
yes.
Well, yeah. My favorite game ever is what's the one with the dice on the what's it called? Craps. That's my favorite one.
Craps
that's
is
fun.
the best table game.
Yeah,
for sure.
and everyone's excited, and
Yeah,
they're
it's a
all
lot of fun.
like
Your
with
chances are shit.
No. Statistically, if you play craps right, it's the closest you can get. It's not
you. I've never lost
better
money
than
playing
house
craps.
odds, but it's closer than blackjack or roulette or anything.
I've
Roulette's the
never,
worst.
I've never lost at craps. I play the pass line. I don't do any like risky stuff, so I'm only making a little bit of money as we go.
Sure.
But I've never lost.
Have you ever played Pie Gal?
He has a system, everybody.
That's right.
If you're listening,
The Mike
there's
Holmgren.
no way you can lose.
Yeah.
It's the Mike
Go to
Holmgren.
Vegas, bet the mortgage on the pass line. You can't
You
lose.
can't lose.
Patreon subscribers get extra tips.
You get
There you
all
go.
of Jeff's
I don't know, guys,
gambling
why you guys
advice.
are patronizing the Patreon.
I'm not patronizing the Patreon.
You've referenced it 4 times.
I'm only saying if you get to the highest level, you get my true feelings about certain hot button
Your
issues.
Patreon is ran very strange.
Yeah. Check it out at www. I don't know.
Patreon.
Patreon.com.
.com/Andrew Slater.
Yeah.
Andrew
Our
Slater's real
Patreon
thoughts.
is getting you to be able to see Andrew Slater's beautiful face and ours right now.
Yeah.
We appreciate our patrons,
We do.
and especially the highest level ones.
We like them even more.
That's
But
than
right.
the
you
lower level
appreciate
ones.
them all the same.
Right, but the
some
high
people can
ones
get
are the ones I
more.
like more than the other ones.
It's like an airplane where there's different curtains.
The
for
other
different
ones
levels.
are fun, but the higher ones, oh my god, they're
See,
better.
That's not right.
Like they get meet and greets, they get free comedy tickets. It's a smart thing to do. So I want to get to we're just been talking
They
about
get
nonsense.
Tony Reavis'
I want to
phone
know
number?
more about Andrew Slater. I know that you went to Nathan Hale High School. I know that
Yeah.
you grew up pretty close to me. You grew up in Seattle
What?
Yes.
before we knew each
Me
other.
too.
You
Really?
You went to Bellingham University, which is called Western.
Western Washington University. That's where I did my first open mic.
Oh, nice. Yeah, but you also were a football player in high school.
I played high school football. Yeah.
And then
yeah.
when you went to college, you wanted to be a journalist.
Yes.
And
Damn.
do you
you
still
got it.
enjoy all that?
Well, I like watching football.
No, I meant like journalism, all that kind of crap.
Oh no! I mean, I've not used. Obviously, it was like it's a weird time both in comedy and journalism because it was probably right before
The journalism boom.
the journalism boom, and I caught both at the worst times. No, but like, it was interesting. Like with technology, changed both like so drastically. So in journalism, obviously, like newspapers, I was like, I wanted to be like a newspaper columnist, so that was like out. There was no job for newspaper writers by the time I was out of
Oh,
college.
I see what you're saying.
right?
Yeah.
So I got a job in like radio or whatever for a while. But
What can I ask you? What made you want to do that? Like, what made you drawn to that?
I like sports. I wanted to be like a sports columnist. But it was all deeply rooted in like being funny. Like there were some sports columnists I thought were like kind of funny and they blended it. And I was like, oh, it could be like a funny. That's just a way I saw a professional route to using comedy. I didn't really consider being stand-up. I didn't see how that would like be a career.
Sure.
Even though you see it on TV, you just figured it wasn't. It's like hitting the lottery or something if you get to do that. So I wanted to be a sports columnist and I'd be kind of funny. So that was out though because there were no newspaper jobs by the time I graduated college. And then in comedy, it was interesting time to start because when I started, it was still kind of this old school, like get your 5 minutes, be super clean, and then work on that over and over again. You get a late night spot, someone will give you a sitcom.
Yo,
and
that's
then
how we
the
viewed it.
way
Yeah.
to make, and then we would make fun of guys. I don't know if you remember, but people with websites or blogs or like pushing the Facebook stuff. We thought that was so stupid.
Yeah.
I remember
Like,
at
just be
Giggles when we
funny.
started, we were like, yeah, just be funny. It takes care of itself. And when in hindsight, if you look back, you'd be like, I would have been so far ahead
Yeah,
of the game if
absolutely.
I had started some shit like this.
Yeah.
Or, whatever it existed as then. Facebook, I guess, was the big one back then. But
Geo-
To be
Cities.
fair, you did it right.
I mean, kind of.
Think of the guys we were criticizing, and I'm not going to name names.
No, but
You're doing better than them.
But if you could have combined, if I could have
Combine
been
what you
more
were already doing.
open-minded about
Yes,
it,
yes,
that
yes.
embrace some
I
of that
understand
stuff
what you're
more.
saying, but to play devil's advocate,
Yeah.
as a guy who's working my way through the stand-up
Heel
ladder,
Marsh.
everyone who I see who's focusing more on the marketing themselves than actually building a product just markets themselves into the point that they actually get the attention and there's nothing there.
right.
Sure.
He was saying mixing the two.
I will say though.
Yeah, you say that, but it's like you
people
learn how
that-
to build a product before you learn how to market that product.
Yeah,
so your
yeah.
product is better
But there's a lot of people we forget to talk about who
because they're gone
got
now. They only
super-
marketed.
who got super funny and are super funny to this day. and refuse to do any of that
Yes.
hustle marketing
You're
stuff.
right. No, you're right.
And we're not.
And that
You don't
does
even
them
think
no
to address
service.
them right now because they just don't pop into your head. And then
Yeah.
10 years from now, you'll see them at a club and you go, "Oh my god, you're like the funniest dude. What happened?" You
Yeah,
know?
I can think of 10 of those guys right now from
And
Seattle.
you're like, "What the? You're way funnier than 90." And they just don't want to do that.
I'm becoming one of those guys.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You gotta like suck it up and do. I'm learning. I'm like a slow
When
learner.
I asked
but
Terry Taylor, the owner of Giggles Comedy Club, me and Brian Moot went to him and said, hey, we should start a MySpace page for this comedy club. He laughed at us.
yeah,
He's like, that's ridiculous. So then we said, all right, plan B, do you mind if we start a MySpace page for Giggles? He's like, you can do whatever you want. He's like, you give us permission to like start them. And then he ended up being obsessed with that MySpace page shortly after.
yeah.
And it was
Of
like a
course.
big deal. But like to him, that idea was the stupidest.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, as a comedian, you're always gonna think everything's stupid
Sure.
because like we're very skeptical, I think, by nature, and like you see the hypocrisy very quickly
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But
We see
like,
Doubting Thomas as reasonably skeptical
Yeah.
Thomas. It's an old Andrew Slater
yeah,
bit.
points.
Yeah.
It's points.
It's points. All
Uh,
right. So you were going to college.
yeah.
You loved comedy. You wanted to do comedy, but you didn't
Mhm.
think that was a real thing.
No.
And then you were like, I'll be a journalist because I love sports writer.
Yeah.
And then,
But then, so I realized by the end of college, I just want to do stand up, because I was driving back to Seattle every weekend, hanging out
Yeah.
at the club. And then I'd like disappear during the week to go back to Western. And so then I got a job. I needed a job in Seattle because I had to do comedy, and all the newspaper jobs were in like, Pocatello,
Yeah.
Idaho, or whatever. So I got a job at Cairo Radio, the news radio station, and I worked the 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. shift, which is the worst.
Brutal.
The worst hours. Like if you worked, in my opinion, if you worked 1 a.m. to 9 or 1 a.m. to 9 a.m., that's a better shift.
oh, yeah.
That's like a better, somehow you can figure your sleep out better. But 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the worst shift possible. And so I would sit there by myself in this from like 2 to 4 before anybody came in. And I remember just staring. We had a view of the Space Needle. I could see the Space Needle. And I'd just be sitting there and I would just like mentally, because I knew nobody was in the Space Needle at that moment. I was like, if the Space Needle just fell down right now, nobody's in here. I could just go on the radio and break this. I'd be the first one. I'd be like Walter Cronkite. I'd
Right.
be like, I'd have to go on the radio.
Right.
Like nobody else would be here for an hour.
You were willing
So I
some
was just
sort
looking-
of
I was
horrific.
so bored. I would just look at the Space Needle and go, man, if it just fell down right now.
Tell them the story. I know Tony and Aaron doesn't know it. People listening might not. How the website came to be at Cairo.
I don't even know what.
Oh, so in one of your bits, I guess, is that they
Yeah.
came to you and was like, "Hey, we need a website. Can you?" And you're like, "I don't know anything about websites," but you were just the youngest, and so like
Right.
he has to know.
So they just assumed that I knew how to build a website, which I actually don't. I'm like bad with technology. I'm like
Right,
the
you're
worst.
like an old guy.
Yeah.
And then, but they're like, "But he's way younger than us."
Yeah, so they just came, and but see, that shows you the time, right? That's what they thought a web guy was just
A young person.
The youngest one.
24-year-old in their newsroom. They thought that's our web guy.
This
'cause
isn't a
he's
flip
younger.
phone. I can't just
Right.
explain it to you guys.
Now it's the opposite. Now it's like you try to get an entry level job, but you need 5 years experience and
And you
all
need
kinds
all
of
that
stuff.
web. That's all they want.
Yeah.
Is clicks and say that's how
Yeah.
it's changed so much. Yeah, but I remember they would like send me out to like I never get to go out. Like I wanted to go cover stories, get out of the office, and one time they sent me out to cover some bullshit like protest or something.
yeah, I
and
know this.
nobody showed up. It was
Wait, like no protester showed up?
Yeah, zero
protest.
people
I was
showed.
like in an empty parking lot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm by myself just with this sound mic, and there's nobody wants to give me a crazy quote, nothing. So I call my, producer, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have to come back. There's nobody here. She goes, no, that's it. I'm like, what? It's like, that's the story. It's like, what is the story? It's like that nobody protested. I'm like, well, that's not you can't just do news that didn't happen. Today, aliens didn't attack downtown Seattle more at 11. Which now they
11.
kind of do actually. It's like funny. All these jokes I had now they
Wait, what do you mean they do that now? Like,
Yeah,
oh, hey,
like-
there was
like-
supposed to be a women's march today, and no one showed
now
up.
I don't know. They make everything news, but so yeah, I did that, and then figured out eventually I just wanted to be a comedian, and then scraped together enough shitty road work.
No, you
and
were great. I
quit.
remember there was I don't remember. You were started before me. Couldn't have been that long before me. How long were you there
No,
at
so
Giggles?
I mean, I started when I was in college at probably like my sophomore year. So
yeah.
I did the college open mic. I did this coffee shop underground open
Were
mic.
you ever bad? Were you ever?
Yeah.
When
Do you
you
remember
got
your
up
Oh my
first
there?
joke?
God, yes. I don't remember my first joke, but I remember the first time I went up. I had
Because I
this
know you've
long.
bombed, but I don't recall you
Yeah.
ever being bad.
I was bad, and I bombed.
We all bomb. I
Bad.
bombed this weekend. So like I
Well, I'll
always.
tell you,
I think that's different than being bad.
I'll tell you a couple times because I was trying to I have this album coming out, and so I was like, I thought it'd be funny to promote the album by telling stories of times I bombed because I
Sure.
don't bomb on the album. So I was like, to be
Right.
fair, I'll tell you times I did bomb.
It's fun.
So the first time I went up, I bombed so bad. Well, I was at a coffee shop and I was so nervous. And I was like thinking of guys, I really, I was a big fan of comedy. I was like, I like, Rodney Dangerfield is one of my favorites. It's like super high energy, So if I drink
Steve
a lot
Martinish.
of, yeah. So I was like, if I drink a lot of coffee, I'll be funnier, So I drank 8 cups of coffee waiting to go up.
no.
And it wasn't a comedy open mic. It was
One guy doing music, the next person doing slam
all
poetry.
John Mayer covers at that time. That tells you the time, but it was all John Mayer covers. And then I went up and you asked me my first bit. I don't remember many of the jokes, but I do remember I had a long story about breaking my nose
Mhm.
and then them having to readjust it, which
Ugh.
is just a painful, horrible
Yeah, it's-
story. It's not funny.
It gets a little bit of reaction. It gets people
Yeah.
going, ugh.
People trying to do their homework. They're like, this is unpleasant, But
This is
then
unpleasant.
I got done, and the host, who's not a comedian, he's just an open mic host, said, "Oh, hey, we should bring back the gong." They used to do a gong show there where they would if you suck, they'd bang a gong.
Oh no.
And he said we should bring it back. My set was so bad, it inspired him
yeah,
to bring back
yeah.
the gong show.
Man, I really wish we
Brutal.
hadn't have gotten rid of that thing that humiliated
That
people.
giant gong
Brutal.
would have been very handy.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
So then, really quick, but I bombed. Another time I bombed.
Well, I was gonna say real quick, you said the first time you ever did stand up, you're so nervous. And in my
Yes.
mind, I was like, do you remember when I first did stand up? You were there the first night. There was no nerves in me. I
No.
was literally the
Well,
most
it was a
confident,
different-
horrible comic you've ever seen in your life.
It was a totally different situation though, because you had a fucking
A ton of people.
crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, he used to bring. We would I remember it because I forget who was even around back then. I guess Brian wasn't one of them, but it would be
Matt Schmidt.
Matt Schmidt or Owen Straw,
Yep.
maybe
Drew Barth.
Drew Barth. And I remember sitting there, and we'd see Jeff come in, and we'd be like, "Oh,
Yeah, because I would just bring the house.
normally there'd be 10
Yeah.
people at open mic. There'd be 100 people.
Yeah.
To see Jeff, and then
So when I would bomb, I knew I was bombing. They knew I was bombing. But if you just looked at my body language, you'd think that I was crushing. Like,
Right.
because I've never been embarrassed to get in front of people, but I was, so I wasn't nervous. I was just like, why am I not doing good? I was so
Yeah.
puzzled by it. That part was, there was no people go, hey, ever get scared? You're like, nah, I don't get scared. Scared's not part of it for me. It was the
That's
figuring
so
out how to make them
interesting.
laugh that was
Yeah.
hard for me. And I felt it was like a puzzle for me. I was
but
like,
where
"Ah."
did that come from that you weren't nervous?
Because I spent my whole life only getting attention from being in front of people getting laughs. So in school, most kids would not say something to the teacher because they don't want to get in trouble, or what if what they said isn't funny and all the kids in class think you're a loser for saying something. I'd already shook all that. My whole high school, all
okay.
that stuff. I'm getting in front of assemblies
So you're
and
like,
doing
this can't-
stupid dances and just to
Right.
make people laugh. So it wasn't that. It was me going, why can't I make them laugh? So I just wanted to comment, but the fact that there was zero, I had no nerves
That's
at all,
interesting.
even though I was
bet-
bombing.
What about you? Did you have? You must have been nervous your first time.
My
right?
first time, I was a mess.
Yeah.
I started standing up. By the end of my set, I was curled into a ball.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you be
Liter-
curled into a
literally?
ball?
Yeah. I literally was took the mic out of the mic stand and then slowly kind of hid behind the mic stand and worked my way down. And I was like looking at notes that I left on the floor. Don't know why I left them there. And I
Oh
was
my
like just going through all
God.
these ideas. And it was a comedy open mic where they normally give people like 3 minutes. The host gave me like 10 minutes to eat my fucking ass.
He was like sending you a message.
Yeah, no, they put me up first because I walked in, I was like, hi, I want to be an open mic comedian. And they're like, oh, fresh meat.
Yeah.
And they
Wow.
just let
It's
me.
evil.
Yeah,
Where was it? Where was the?
a place that no longer exists called the Artist Cafe in Culver City.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wow.
Wait, so what's the second time the story?
Well, no, it's not this. I mean, I bombed a million times between that and this time, but then I did the Toledo Casino one
Oh,
time.
yeah.
You know that place?
Soul Crusher.
Yeah, and it's just this giant room and like halfway filled. And I was doing my back then when I would suck. It's not even that I was doing that bad, honestly, but the crowd's just like
Hey, it's a
bad.
casino. And also, like, they didn't pay to see any comedy.
They
No,
didn't,
we're there
literally
to
didn't
gamble,
pay.
baby.
Yeah.
I've literally
It's me and
seen
my
legends fall apart at casinos.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
is in a
Because they're
room.
like they're trying to gamble. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, this is a room that's brutal too.
And it looks like it's like a big stage and like probably like $100,000 worth of light and sound,
Mhm.
so you're like, oh, this should be good, but it's like just not. So it's like half full. But back then I would kind of go into this robotic, if I was bombing, I would like metaphorically curl up into a ball and just do my act.
Yeah.
I would just do the tags
Like they're playing a
just in
CD
nothing,
player
and I'm
or
like,
something.
yep, and I would just go and do it, and I wouldn't engage. I wouldn't ask them why they didn't like me. I just go, you don't like me, but it's just easier if I can get through this.
I have admired that about you, actually. One time we had to do this gig, and I asked if Andrew would come with me. It was for the LAPD. And
oh my God,
Yeah.
that was a bad kick.
it was
Oh.
rough.
You did good though, right?
Yeah, I did pretty well because I was just kind of like, I knew they wanted me to like kind of talk shit. Like I kind of
Yeah.
like read the room and was like,
You
oh,
got
these
it
people
so much
want me to
better than I
like be
did.
broy with them. But Andrew went up and we both just knew like, oh no, like this is
Yeah.
going to be really, it's like a corporate for a bunch of like off-duty police officers. And corporates, if you don't know, are brutal, but they pay good. So you do it or whatever. But I don't think I was being paid good or at all even, but I did the thing and Andrew had to go first, which is always hard, just like now they're not even ready for jokes yet. But Andrew, he didn't go like, how's everyone doing? Or like, what's going on? He was just like, I work at the, it was just like right into the material. Like it was
It's
incredible.
just
I was
such
like,
a
I'm
mistake.
so jealous that I am so hyper aware that I have to like comment on everything. Like, and if I'm bombing, I'm incapable of not referencing
Yeah, but
that
you'd
I'm
be turning them into an audience. He's just
Yes.
like, no, we aren't together in this.
Yeah.
I'm doing this at you.
It's such
amazing.
a mistake. So anyway, I'm there doing just about that.
Yeah.
And everyone's like unengaged and then just something I hear like this murmur, these like older couple, and the light in the back is good, in the front I can't see, but the people in the back, so it's like this two like really old, seemingly
Gross.
sweet people,
Seemingly sweet.
a husband and wife are sitting in the back, and I hear just them say something, like he says it kind of loud, and it just dawned. Normally I just would not, but I was like, you know what, fuck, I was like, I'm gonna just take a shot here. And I go, what was that? And this old guy is just like sitting there like this, and he's like, just yells out, not drunk, totally sober,
In his right mind.
clear, in his right mind, not senile, just couldn't be more clear, like, we're not enjoying the show.
Oh, no.
And then I'm like, it crushes my soul.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, maybe I can make this funny because then I can look to the wife. The wife will be like mad at him or hit him or
Yes,
something.
Don,
And she just looks and he goes, no,
Oh,
no,
no.
we're not. He's right. We're not enjoying the show. I'm like,
rough.
okay, well, that's why you don't go into the crowd. And then I just went back into whatever next bit.
Next track.
That is
Yeah.
so brutal.
Yeah.
I
But
will
yeah, I
say,
bombed a lot.
what we were just talking about, like going into the material as opposed to talking to him or trying to do this stuff is way more successful statistically.
Yes. Yeah. But you're ill-equipped to deal with like adverse situations. So like if you go into the average comedy club
Mhm.
and there's a crowd and even if, like, let's say you're headlining, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're so primed to see stand up by the time you're up there.
Yeah.
And they've probably gone 2 or 3 times in their
Sure.
lives, maybe more. But yeah, you can just go right into material and it's easy. But I've done enough show because now I've done like a lot of colleges and stuff where you just can't.
Right.
Like you're walking into God knows what situation.
Yeah.
They've never seen stand up before in their lives. And it may or may not be a stage,
Eating lunch.
a microphone, lights, whatever. And so you just really have to be funny and to them. Like you
I've
have
lost
to find a
crowds
way.
before I even get into a joke.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, how's it going? Or like, hey, I'm like, and they just look at me like, what is that? Like, what? Whereas, like, I remember specifically going to a show you did. I wasn't even on the lineup. I just was going to hang out with you and whoever. I think Brian was there, but I don't think he was on either. And there was a lot of like good comedians on it. I watched 2 comedians get up and lose the crowd and eat it. And then you got up and immediately went into material. And it struck me as like, why didn't Andrew say hi or give it up for the comics? Something.
Yeah.
You didn't. You almost robotically went right into your first joke, but then the crowd just popped, and then you got the next
Yeah.
joke pop. Literally, there was 0 wasted time.
Sometimes
it was so
works
efficient.
the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like I was always like, oh God, I wish I could just go into the joke like that.
Yeah, I think you just, now that I'm like a little older and a little wiser, I'm better at like picking my spots.
Yeah.
You know? Like if it's a hot showcase show, like the one that you were probably talking about, that one I probably would just go. If I have like a great
It was a
opening
great
line,
crowd too. They were
I'll just go right and hit that line and just go.
yeah,
And then maybe I'll fuck around in the middle.
sure.
But at the beginning, I want to prove that I'm a comic and I know jokes, you know? But, or if I think, even if I start off, I want to think of like a line.
Sure.
You know? I don't want to like just go, hey, nice shirt.
Right, messing
Or
around.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, it's a long walk. Or what about some intro or whatever. Like that shit bores me
Right.
a lot. But like, I don't know. It can go either way. I don't know. I think with like police balls and colleges and shit, you have to
Do a little of that.
do
Yeah, you need it. Some sort of
bring
buffering.
them-
Yeah, yeah.
Although I will say the last college I did, I was in like Minnesota or whatever, and I tried exactly that, right? Because it was this big, beautiful theater, but there was like, they always like give you this apology tour as to why the crowd's not going to be as big as it should be.
Yes.
So, hey,
Oh,
it's,
normally.
a homecoming this week, and there's a final, and
There's always an excuse.
they're playing.
There's a
Love
fire in the
Actually.
hallway right in front of the door.
Yeah.
There's
But
this
normally there's not a
long-
fire.
there's no reason why we should have scheduled the show, but we did. So here's the crowd, right? So there's like, 25 people in this like 300 seat theater. So I get them all to sit up at the front. Like I do a good job
Nice.
of
Yeah,
that.
you do that. Yeah, nice.
And then I try making jokes about where I'm, and it's just silent. I mean,
Ugh.
and I'm like, oh my God. And then I go and I do my first bit, and they just,
Yeah, they're like, that's
okay,
what we
that's
wanted.
we
Yeah,
came to see."
exactly.
So yeah, it's like you never know.
Well, you know what? The opposite is, so I never just launch right into jokes. I always do like, oh man, like I'll make fun of the city, or I'll make fun of like some
Yeah.
situation, something that happened before me, or I'll tease the comedians before me because they already saw opening acts. It's something like that. So when I have to do a late night set, like on the Tonight Show, I am sweating blood on the idea of having to get on stage and go right into material, because you can't get up there and be like, give it up for Jimmy Fallon. Like you can't,
Right.
let's hear it one more time for your host. Like, and so it is of a unique feeling for a guy who never just gets right into it. I always admire those guys who have like an open, like Mike Kaplan did a thing a long time ago where he would just say, give it up, everyone. Keep it going, everyone, for me. Like it's a
Yeah.
quick, easy,
Yeah.
something, or like anybody who has
Those
like
are
a.
the hardest.
That first joke.
First joke.
I know I can get them after that, but like that first line.
I have a joke now that I think would work as like a first joke, but then it's like too good of a joke, and then I'm like, it's not gonna get the reaction
'Cause it's
too
first.
quick. If I put it in the
Yeah.
middle, it would do so.
Yeah,
much better.
exactly.
I feel like I'm wasting it. It's like throwing a hand grenade or something. That
Yeah.
first bit. So I don't know.
Your
It's very
pearls to
tricky.
swine right out the
Yeah.
opening. That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Little
tricky thing.
inside
Like
baseball.
when
but,
I when I do the Tonight Show, I'll sit and watch on my computer. Both times I've sat and watched on my computer like 100 late night sets just to see what was the first thing they did, and almost always they just have to like bite it and go like,
just
I was at dinner with my wife the other day. Like they just, and it feels
Right.
weird when you're looking for it.
I like when it's like almost a wink at the whole absurdity of the process itself. You know, like when you would, I guess like Norm does that, or like Gary Goldman, I think is good at that, where it's almost like, hey, I was backstage and
Yeah.
Jimmy was looking at his computer, and it's just some joke he has about computer, so it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's almost like clearly this did not
Right.
happen, but he found a
Norm
way
gets
to
a
make
little
it.
more leeway when Letterman
Well,
was still on.
Sure, yeah.
Like Norm, like one night did 10 minutes when he was supposed to do 4.5.
Yeah. I mean, that's like an extreme
Who
example.
runs
And-
the Light On Network?
It was amazing. And he cried and like said, like, I love Dave. And this is the last
Oh,
thing
I
I
had
love.
seen that. That was
So that's the
great.
reason they let him burn it. And he's like, I don't care. I'm Norm Macdonald. This is the last time I'm going to be on the show. I'm going to do it
Right,
the most.
yeah.
And then the other thing that he did was he goes, I just want to start off by saying, which there's no way he cleared this with like standards and practices. He just is like, I'm Norm and this is Letterman and we can do whatever we want. He was like, I'm making the same amount as Oprah tonight.
Yeah. See, that's
And that's such a
a
fun
great, yeah.
bit that he didn't practice that. He probably didn't even
Right.
know who the other guests were gonna be till that day or like whenever. I don't foresee him Googling like who am I gonna be on with?
When
like,
I did, it probably is different on like NBC or whatever, but when I did Conan, it's on TBS, and they told me, they're like, just do it like you would do, just do a set.
It's
If
great.
something happens in the room, deal with it. If
I
you
loved
think
your
of a
set.
line,
Nice.
if you think of a line to start out, I didn't. I just did it like exactly the way I was
Right.
planning to do it. But if you think of something on the way out, try it.
I
Man,
love that.
They were
Just try
which like scared the shit out of me. I was
Right.
like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
the
doing
scariest.
that,
The most double-edged sword.
yeah.
Hey, it's only the most amount of people that
And
ever
I've
going to
seen
see
people
it.
It's only
bomb.
your most important credit.
Wing it, bro.
You think when you first start, you're like, you're never gonna bomb a late night set because you're
Such a
gonna be
hot
so
crowd.
and
Yeah,
everything.
no, but that's
it's
not
not
true.
true.
It's not true.
Totally possible to bomb.
We could name
set.
5 just in the last calendar year that like
Yeah.
me and Aaron have texted back and forth like, oh, no,
yeah.
like
we share the bombs.
yeah, and also like it is fascinating that how many hoops you have to go through with that material and it still won't.
Yeah,
I feel like it's jumping out of an airplane without a parachute because if the material's not working, you've got it approved and you have to continue with the script.
Sure.
right.
And so you can't do like your normal, like, oh, I normally say this line when that doesn't work out, and then
Right.
I'll just jump to the next bit.
You
They're like,
wanna
no,
know
no,
where-
no. You have to specifically say the next line you told us you were going to say.
When
I'll
they
tell you a
approved
vulnerable
bit-
thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you a vulnerable thing that happened on the last time I did the Tonight Show. I left thinking it didn't go because it's such a blur.
Yeah,
You're out there just going, and I had built it up in my head on expectation wise as it would be like the first time. So when I left, I was a little dismayed. I was like leaving going like, oh, like this isn't kind of what I thought. And Michael Cox, the booker of the Tonight Show, goes, no, it's great, dude. It was very, very, you ended strong. I think out the gates, it was a little different than what we thought it would be, but it was still very good. No one noticed. And then Jimmy Fallon was like, that was incredible. You're welcome back anytime. And I'm like, they're just being nice. Like, this is just not what I thought it was going to be. I watched it and it was like I crushed.
yeah.
And that's really what was happening. But in my mind,
Well, you have an expectation for what, especially the first joke, is gonna do,
right.
and that was the best advice I got from this comic named Mike Lawrence. You probably know.
I know
him.
Mike. Yeah,
I love Mike.
So,
We've referenced him every
yeah.
episode, I think.
Wow.
I think it's true.
All
Well,
right.
because we talk a lot of wrestling,
Yeah.
Of course.
and then we love like comics and nerd stuff.
Just keeping the streak alive.
Yeah.
But he told me before I did it, he was like,
He's like, wear a dirty shirt and eat whatever the hell you
You know
want.
what's a funny story?
You should
Yeah.
stop shaving 2 years
We
ago.
both did Last Comic Standing the same
Mhm.
year, and they would not let him wear what he had brought because you're supposed to bring like 3
'Cause there's
wardrobe
holes in it?
choices, and he
Yeah.
brought one.
They're like, we'll buy yours.
So they went out and bought him clothes, and I was like, "This sucks. I should have not brought any. I should have came naked, and
And-
they would have bought me so much shit." But the shirt they bought him was so tight, and he had to wear this really tight shirt on TV.
But that's the part that they can
Yeah.
now, since they're buying the clothes, they can
Right.
they can represent you however you want.
yeah.
Because I've done that twice on projects, just out of like not having nice clothes or being lazy and not bringing clothes, and they
Yeah.
bought me clothes. I was like, this is great.
But so he told me, he was like, no matter what your first joke does, you just gotta be
Act like it crushed.
Don't have any expectation for it. If
Yeah.
it sits there and lays there, great. That's what
Yeah.
you were expecting to happen.
Exactly.
And you just do your second bit with the same confidence you would have done as your first. Because otherwise, that's how you spiral.
Sure.
Because if your first joke, if you let them see you sweat,
Yeah.
your second joke is gonna bomb.
Yeah.
Because now they see it on you, and then you're just gonna keep going downhill from there.
So I've been on the road, 50 weeks a year for the last over a decade, and because I love working. I love stand up, and I don't have like a wife and kids and things. So like I just put myself on the road a lot. One of my biggest regrets, I've missed so many weddings, I've missed so many things, so many parties, so many bachelor parties. One of my biggest regrets is missing, like not getting to go to your Conan with you. It would have been so much fun.
Or like I didn't get to see you go.
Was it a
do the
Friday?
Well,
Tonight
no, but
Show.
like with the Tonight Show, you don't bring a group. You don't bring. So
Oh,
I got
really?
made fun of for just bringing my girlfriend and Aaron once.
Really?
I brought my girlfriend and Aaron, and the booker was like, "Yeah, usually people don't bring anyone because it's such like a New York vibe. Like so many people just come from the
Do their
clubs,
spot and
do their
Oh,
spot,
really?
and like
That's
they
Jimmy
treat,
Fallon made a
treat
point
it
to
like
say
that.
it to the studio audience. I have a video of Jimmy Fallon talking in between commercials or whatever,
Uh-huh.
where he's just like, this next guy, his friends are nervous for him backstage, and they start laughing.
Oh,
He goes,
yeah.
no, it's true. And he might
Yeah.
be nervous, so be extra special and nice to
Yeah.
him. And you're like, I'm watching like, Jimmy Fallon, don't put
Wow.
Jeff in the hole.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was
See, I
fun.
don't like that. I don't like that acting like it's not a big deal when it's clearly a big deal.
It is
I
a
don't
big
care
deal.
if you're a New York comic. If you get the Tonight Show, everybody's fucking stoked.
And I think Jimmy thought that was like endearing about me too.
Sure.
Is that he was like, no,
But I
this
mean,
guy
that's
really
just being
wants it to be
honest.
special.
Yeah.
Like, because Nate Bargatze like opens for him. He does the Tonight Show every month, it seems like, and
Yeah.
like he always crushes. Nate's not like a nervous guy.
Yeah, he's
Nate's
so
so
funny,
confident and
yeah.
so funny and so good that Nate literally just rolls in with like a baseball hat and like a half shaved beard, and then like right before they go on, he gets cleaned up, puts on the nice shirt, goes out there, crushes, and then goes to like the cellar.
Yeah.
So like. They just are. They treat it like it's this
Yeah,
thing.
but I
But
mean,
yet, can we say who the comedian that was there when you were there?
Yeah, go ahead. No.
So Jerry Seinfeld
Oh,
was
yeah.
hanging out backstage, and he talked to you before you went on,
Yeah.
and he fully acknowledged how big of a deal it is,
Yeah.
and how you're going to be great, and how like not to worry about the immense amount of pressure.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
goes. He said something. I'm trying to think of the way he worded it. He goes, "Hey, don't." What did he say? Do you remember the sentence?
The very last one,
Yeah.
he gave you a couple little tidbits,
Yeah.
and then he was just like, "And you're gonna do fine. Just don't think about
How it's the biggest night of your life.
Yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that. Like some
how the
sort
rest
of.
of your career is all on this."
Yeah. It was very funny. But like, I also
It was
still
like
pride
as
myself.
he's walking down the hallway ways, I can't even say like goodbye to him at this point.
The first time I ever did the Tonight Show, the last hand I touched before I went out there was Jerry Seinfeld.
that's so
And so it
dope.
felt like this like great, like just for me. I mean,
yeah.
but like it felt very cool. You did an interesting thing on your Conan because you brought a group, like all my
I
friends.
brought like anybody and everybody.
I know, and it was like all
Who'd you
people
bring?
I know.
Man, I brought
Ryan Kreppen, Brian
Ryan
Mood.
Kreppen, his girlfriend,
Your wife, maybe
Jackie,
fiance
my
at the time.
wife,
Were you married at the
fiance
Gay.
No. Yes.
Okay.
Just newly married.
Okay.
Nice.
And then Mike Cummings came. Moot.
So cool. Yeah, I
came.
saw the photo. I was just like that I hadn't done the late
that
night
whole Seattle crowd.
yet. You did it
That's
before
right.
me, and so I was just like, oh, just to be able to see that and witness it, and I knew you were gonna crush. You're so funny, but like you did an interesting thing on that, where you did a bit about how they should make a show, where it's like just helping people get their deposit back.
Yeah.
He's like, that's what it should be. Just helping people get their rental. What's it called?
Security deposit.
Security deposit
Yeah.
back. Like, that's all you really hope when you're moving out of a place. And the bit's hilarious. Check it out. It's on the internet. Andrew Sleighter, Conan O'Brien. But you then have pitched this show, right? Like you're trying to make that show.
Yeah, well, I pitched. What I really pitched was like a kind of like I think like the whole HGTV world, which I'm a fan of. Like I watch, me and my wife, we watch a lot of those shows, like Fixer Upper and stuff, and I think it's just so ready for like a good parody.
Sure.
Like it's like so fucking ripe, and there's nobody who does it really. Like
Yeah.
they did this bajillion-dollar properties. It was kind of like
I saw that. Dana Doot was on it, right?
yeah, but then that's more of like that other channel. I forget the channel, but where it's like the high end property. They know like they buy.
They're making fun of
or
that.
the real estate
Yeah.
side of it or whatever. I'm telling you, like the home improvement side. So I pitched a show called, it was going to be called Deposit Hunters, where I just came in and was literally like a crappy contractor who just helped people get their security deposits back. And it just, every episode would be like some disgusting, weird situation where I'd have to come in and like fix up their apartment to get it back up to.
Sure, get up to code.
But I honestly think that it would work as
would.
like so forget
it's
the
hilarious.
parody part of it. What if you just did do that and you
Sure.
found like college kids or whatever?
Yeah, I've never gotten mine back.
Right.
I've
And you
they
said, and
know
that's
you
the
then.
challenge. And then it's like you get a percentage of it or however you want to do it, like a contest. But just to see
Well,
if
like,
you could,
I remember
maybe
when
it'd
Adam
be
Carolla-
repetitive, but you're like, oh, repetitive. All those House Hunters isn't repetitive.
I
It's
didn't say
all
it was repetitive. It's great. I don't know where'd you got
No,
that.
I'm-
You said it. You
I'm
said that I said it was
defensive. I'm very
repetitive. And
defensive.
well, you know, Adam Carolla used to do a bit about how he's like, they should do a show called To Catch a Contractor. These guys are all It was a bit, and then he made it into
Right.
like a 17-season show,
Yeah.
and I watched every episode. I loved that show.
Yeah.
But like, so it's just kind of a funny thing. Like, the show's comics are full of like good ideas, more so than even just jokes. We're full of like,
Well, you know what's so funny is like I did that joke I wrote as a Facebook status,
Mm.
and then Chris Walsh, mutual friend,
yeah, the Walsh brothers.
you should have him on the Friendship Podcast.
I'd love to.
He said he like messaged me. It's like, hey, he's like, don't share that as a Facebook status. Like, you should do that. Like,
Absolutely.
that's like be a funny show, you know? And so then I started doing it as a bit. And then, but then me and Chris, and then this guy, Willie Laszlo, we filmed the thing trying to make that as like a funny show. Never went anywhere, but
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there's still hope. There's still time.
there's still hope.
There is, man. None of
Yeah,
the shows,
yeah.
like, you know, because
No, I know,
sometimes.
yeah.
Les
You know what
Moonves
happens?
listens to this podcast.
Well, and actually, I'll tell you what. Forget this podcast. Let's say 3 years from now, you're going to be doing bigger things and doing huge things, and they're going to go, Andrew, do you have any ideas? And you'll be
No.
like, oh, I got this idea. I got this idea. I got
That's
this.
the best advice you can give anybody. It's like, don't come to LA until you're ready to like sell something, I think. Because you're going to have a great set at like the Improv or whatever.
Mhm.
And someone's going to come up to you afterward and be like, what you got?
Yeah.
You're like, what do you mean? What do
Let's
I got?
set up a meeting.
I just did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got my stand up. I
Yep.
thought I would just do stand up and you'd put me on the road and then I'd do the road. Maybe I'd open for somebody famous for a while
Nope.
and then I'd be famous and then they'd give me a sitcom and I could memorize the lines right before I go out.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what I thought
You know what they
comedy was
want?
going to be.
They want your ideas. That's what they
Right.
want. They want your ideas.
So it's way better to like have some. So now it's like, I feel like I've done it in reverse, but now I feel like I have a lot of stuff
Yeah.
if opportunities came along. But yeah, you know, whatever.
I
Those
don't
are
know.
good.
Thanks for being on this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Will you come back?
Yes. Can I plug my
Yeah.
album?
Absolutely.
My
Well, of course
album?
you can. That's what we were going to do anyways, but go ahead.
Oh, I don't want to step on your toes.
No. You didn't step on my toes. I was just letting you know we weren't just going to go off. I want to know what you're working on.
Oh, okay. Well, I was eager to do it.
I heard there's
'cause I'm
this new
excited
album
about
you
it.
got going on.
There you go.
I like to buy
wanted
her
it to
now
be like
and like set it
organic.
up, you know?
What's
Yeah.
the name of it?
Aaron, have you heard anything about this?
I've heard that it's fantastic. Is only if I can get my hands on it because it's limited edition.
Well, normally I only give it to the highest levels
Right. You're going to be sent it.
of the Patreon, but it's called The Great Baxby. It's out on Tuesday, so you can pre-order
So
it
you switched
now.
that title a little, huh? They used to call you.
The Great. Well, I don't want to give anything away.
Oh,
but
okay,
it's all
okay.
explained in the bits.
This is the beauty of
You have to
being
listen.
Andrew Slater's friend and,
And
the
look,
friendship.
this is the shirt.
I noticed
Oh,
you're wearing
nice.
your own shirt.
Baxby, and it's got all the little art. My friend Sean did all this
Oh,
artwork.
that is
it's really
great.
cool. And you know, so
What's
you can
Sean's
check it
last
out.
name?
I love that. Wait,
Huh? Sean Stoddard.
so when does that come out?
Tuesday, April 17th.
So by the time this is up, it'll already be out.
Yes.
Where can they buy it?
iTunes,
Cool.
Amazon, anywhere
Download
you
it.
buy your music.
Stream it, buy it, get
Yes.
it. Who'd you make the record with?
By myself, baby.
It's great. That's
no
the best way to
label.
do it.
Yeah, I want all the independent.
Especially nowadays.
Why give it to
Sleighter
anybody?
Records.
I really believe. I mean, like,
I made my first one by myself, made a killing. I made my second one by myself with a record company, and they're great and they've been awesome, and I'm very, very grateful for it. But I didn't make more money.
yeah.
It hasn't been like a lot. It's just, it's the same.
I looked at it. I just didn't. I think in like this day, we'll see what happens. But I think in this day and age with technology and everything, I didn't see what the label was gonna do that I couldn't do myself.
Exactly.
So.
And you're 100% right, especially when it comes to like
And
albums.
I like the idea of owning it, 100% of it. So
Love it. Okay. Where can they follow you on social media and stuff?
at Andrew Sleighter, and then Sleighter spelled funny, but the easiest way to find me, you can go to andrewcomedy.com. My
Cool.
website and all my stuff's on there.
Perfect, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, friend.
You're the best, buddy. We love you.
You're the best.
Boom. We're out.
Friendship.
How fun was that? Andrew Sleighter. I bet that podcast made you want to download his CD, his new album. I would. It's called The Great Baxby. Available on iTunes. Just search Andrew Sleighter. Also, he is on tour. I am also on tour, so check out our live dates. You can check out my live dates at jeffdye.com. Everything at Jeff Dye. Also, if you want to watch the podcast or sponsor the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/Jeff Dye and let us know what you'd like to do there. Or subscribe so you can see all this fun stuff. Also, big shout out to Tony Reavis and Aaron Marsh for being on this episode as well, and for all the ones before that. They've been great. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.